4 o'clock. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our very first career modeling workshop. So this workshop series are jointly presented by Focus Learning and I Made It. So my name is Shelley. If you are new to Focus Learning, I'm Director of Focus Learning and I Made It. So on behalf of Focus Learning and I Made It, I welcome you all to our very first workshop series. It really warms my heart to see many new friends and some returning old friends. I hope you can gain a lot from this workshop. Now, Focus Learning was founded in 2011. So we made a brief intro video to help you understand what we are and what we do while we wait for more people to join us.
Focus Learning is an innovative and inspirational education program offered to students of all ages, both in person and online, using Microsoft Teams for education.
Focus Learning was born out of a desire to inspire and empower children, like my own daughter, who has a very curious mind and always wants to learn more. I believe true learning happens when we are engaged and challenged at the same time.
At Focus Learning, we offer real-world connections, which we believe to be especially important in this globalized, ever-changing society. Many parents are amazed to find courses such as Minecraft, coding, public speaking, and young entrepreneurs, on top of the various thought-provoking language arts and STEM courses. Our teachers are experienced and highly educated. They wish to share their passion for their unique subjects, as well as to make a real impact on students' lives. They go the extra mile to ensure each student's individual needs are met.
The best reward as the founder of Focus Learning is to see the children's confidence grow and to feel their eagerness to embrace greater challenges personally, academically, and professionally.
Find out more by visiting our website, www.focuslearning.ca.
For our Focus Learning students, you may even be able to find your pictures in this video. So it has been 11 years since we are running all kinds of programs. Now, I Made It is a service company focusing on building beneficial social and environmental relationships between entrepreneurs and their communities through forward-looking education. So like I said, this work series are jointly presented by Focus Learning and I Made It. Our speaker today and the instructor for this workshop, Mr. James Moon, he is a visionary instructor with a true passion to revolutionize the career education for high school students. In fact, the reason we are running this workshop series is because some students came to Mr. Moon asking for guidance on their career path choice. And then I recommended to make a workshop so that we can benefit more students who are in this process. I don't know if you can see this clearly. So this map describes our business and entrepreneurship program. We call this a roadmap. So there are business and entrepreneurship classes, CEO talks, some students may be familiar with, and career modeling workshops like today's workshops. We will also be offering co-op placement at publicly traded companies. And all this can lead to real-world connections with the opportunity to earn OSSFD, that's the high school credits in business studies and cooperative education. This is our Young Entrepreneurs course, which Mr. Moon has been offering since 2017. And these are the CEO talks. Mr. Fahar Mashan, he's coming back soon, and he's a CEO of Medicina. We also offered 4 other CEO talk workshops. And this is an outline of all the four. So mind you, this is a workshop series. So today is the number one. We'll be doing some modeling and principles. The following three workshops on idea generation, that will be workshop number 2 and number 3. And the last one on December there's a mistake. December the 11th should be our last workshop. Yeah, so we will introduce a very useful tool to help you understand yourself better. So a strong self-assessment tool by Ray Dalio. I think Mr. Moon will introduce him in his workshop. Yeah. And lastly, some housekeeping items. Please mute yourself. Yeah, I can see everyone is muted. And this workshop is being recorded, and you will get a recording after each workshop. If you need to speak, raise your hand so you can find the reactions on the top panel. You'll find reactions. There's an icon holding hands, right? So you click on it, then we know you want to speak. And when you don't want to speak anymore, please click on it again. That way you can lower your hand. Okay, I think without further ado, I will hand it over to Mr. Moon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to learn here. I see we've got quite a few people on the call here, 53 people. It's a large group. And, I think one of the reasons that Ms. Shelley has talked about being recorded is that we're not here to, run something that other programs aren't going to be able to learn from and stuff like that. We're here to be open on this stuff. Entrepreneurs and new people that come up with new ideas, they're never fearful of somebody taking the new idea and then moving on, because they'll just come up with a new idea. So this is really here to help a lot of the students understand, and parents, by the way, as well, understand how things are going to change here in the next 10, 20, and 30 years, and how we're going to have to change our mindsets to be a lot more open to change. And I don't think that we prepared our students, and including ourselves, because we never went through this, enough in the high schools with the curriculums, because changes are occurring so fast. Curriculums, and it's not the school's fault, they can't change curriculums as fast as things are changing in the real world. And that wasn't a problem back 20, 30, 40 years ago, but it certainly is now. And I think over the next 4 hours and 4 weeks, you'll see where I'm going with this and how we're going to have to make it a lot easier for us to make changes in our life and understand that we're probably not going to have the same jobs. And we're not talking about over 20 years, but even over 3 and 4 or 5 years, where there'll be a constant changing of the mindset of where things are going, or you'll find yourself out of career. So I know that there's a lot of fears here among a lot of people, and I'm thankful that you're here, because you're amazing to be here, about choices, what education, and I know the school education is set, but what education am I going to need for the career that I'm going to take on? And I don't even know what career I'm taking on. And when Miss Shelley was talking about high school, I can go all the way to grade 6, 7, and 8 now, because you really need to be looking at things to generate a new mindset out there. And a lot of people are worried, well, they're not math oriented. Don't worry. This whole lecture series is going to be about everything, how you can have so many different types of opportunities, and you don't have to be math oriented. Obviously, it helps. I don't know if anybody knows that when Elon Musk started school, does anybody know here, except for maybe the people that have been in my classes, which are quite a few out there, does anybody know what Elon Musk took for his 2 degrees? Anybody have an idea? You can write a chat on the right side. Does anybody have any idea? It's a large group, so if you want to write, just type away. Yeah, he went actually to Pennsylvania, Penn State, Wharton Business School. So, I just gave away one part of it, business school. What else did he take at the same time? So he actually took business, UPenn, you got it, Stella. What else did he take? He took 2 different courses, 2 different degrees. Physics, you got it, Stella. Okay, so he took physics and business. So, and he actually enjoyed physics more than business. But, one of the reasons he took physics is more for the fundamental understanding of how to create ideas and how to rip things apart and rebuild them again, as opposed to the math part. So we're gonna do a lot of that today, and I know that some people are going to be overwhelmed at first, but I can assure you, for all the students that have been in my courses for a long time, they know that I do a lot of repetition, because overwhelming even occurs to me when I'm setting up a 4-hour course like this, which has so much information that we want to try to make sure that you stay interested in. Because if you're not interested, then it doesn't matter, how important it is in your life. You're just probably not going to keep doing the same things over again. And at that point, you're going to find yourself falling behind. So what I want to say is that over the next 4 hours, we're going to build, take time to go through all these exercises of building fundamentals, and the fundamentals, and I'll give you an example. If you look at what Elon Musk has used as his idea generation tree, which we'll go through, if you look at math, algebra is the fundamental basics of math. And I don't want to fear people here that don't excel in math, but that is the fundamentals. And if you want to move up to trigonometry and calculus and things like that, if you don't have that thick tree branch at the bottom, or that trunk of fundamentals in algebra, you probably are going to get very scared or lost going forward in trigonometry and calculus and many of the other math sciences that occur. So we're going to try to change that right here for you in the way you create new ideas. And people are going to say, well, I thought this was career modeling. This isn't creating a new idea, it's career modeling. Where am I going to go in my career? And the idea with idea generation mapping and creating that foundation of how to understand how to do an idea generation tree is that you learn about all the areas that the world is going into. And this is where you actually start to think, here's the foundation for a potential career. And then you follow the money, or you follow the path that you enjoy the most with your education or your skills that you've got, that you've currently got, or you're going to look for. So I don't take a lot of breaks in here, and we only have 50 minutes, an hour, and most of my class knows that we don't do a lot of videos, we don't do this stuff, we go hard. Again, a lot of this stuff might get a little over your head. I want you to know that if you're here for the 4 hours over the 4 days, I can promise you by the time you're finished, if you don't know it, then you're going to be part of this group that is going to allow yourself to be able to ask me questions all the time through the week as well, so you all get on the same path. So I'll give you a little something about the platform we're running here, Teams. Teams is what we're doing is creating a group atmosphere where you're going to be able to come on and help generate these ideas as a group and not just as an individual, because idea generation is not done on an individual level. Even though Elon Musk has made some great things in generating ideas, he's done it with groups of people, okay? And that's really important, because that's the only way that we will actually understand and look at all the different areas and work as a group. So this platform, Microsoft Teams, allows you to chat, be part of this group that is, I guess, almost 60 people today. I think there's 100 altogether or more, that you can come on and be creative and work together in groups. And we'll explain that more as we go forward over the next 4 days or 4 hours of classes. Okay. So what else? The idea behind this structure was we implemented it, I made it, and focused learning, where we have an environment of kids that are all going to be together. And let's get started. Okay. So what I want to do is, Miss Shelley sent out a book called Angel, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it. It's a very good book, and and I'm just going to bring up the PowerPoint now. Okay.
Mr. Moon, do you want to run the polls?
Yeah. So I will pop. Yes. Let's do the first poll first. Okay. So we're going to run polls on the side, and I'd like everybody to answer the polling question, because it helps me out. I'm going to pop out the poll here on my right as well. Okay. And Miss Shelley is going to run that poll. The first poll is, do you find it easy to make changes in your life? Okay, and if everybody can just click, these are not complicated, but they are very important to understand where you are right now and how we're going to help you get to another level if you, answer the question the way you do. So if everybody can just answer that poll in a yes or no manner, okay? I'm going to click yes because I've gone through all this now, so I'm in pretty good shape. We've had 34 responses and 82 say no and 16%. And by the way, there's no right answer here, okay? This is actually, I want everybody, and everybody that's been in my classes knows that we get a lot of great questions from people that were originally scared to ask questions. Any questions that you want to ask in this class, please do. And don't be worried about what people may think about your question. You'll be shocked at where it leads to, because this is, again, an idea generation type thing. And I see we've had almost everybody, 47 responses. That's great. And it's about 80% in making having a difficult time in making change in your life. That's about right. And by the way, that's about right for adults as well. Okay. And we're going to discuss that today, and we're going to try to alleviate some of this stuff. So I know one of the questions that the students and everybody's going to ask me is, well, why are we talking about idea generation trees and modeling of, things? And the reason for that is that careers and education actually come from this. You need to know where you're going to go in life, and you may have a great idea of where areas are important to go. Like, I'm going to become an engineer and I'm going to go into working on combustible engines. And if you were thinking about that career, that obviously would be a very poor choice at this point, because combustible engines are going on the way out, and electric engines and electric motors are coming on the way in. Okay, so that's a simple explanation of it, but that's kind of what we're going to be discussing here. And you're going to find that some of the idea generation trees that we're going to build over the next 4 days are going to start off way out of no man's land. And you're going to say, this is not relevant to me in my potential education career. And I'm going to prove to you it's completely relevant. And these are the types of structures and formulas you're going to follow, not math oriented, just thinking formulas about where you're going to go forward. And if you stick with them, they take time. It's just like chess, everybody. If anybody's ever been a chess player here, they know that you have to do the same move 400 times. Not because you're not smart, it's because it takes a lot of work to formulate these things. And once you start down this path, you're going to find that this is going to help you in your career over and over and over again. And some people are going to ask me, career over and over and over again, what does that mean? Oh, I can promise you that you're going to change careers 3 or 4 times in your lifetime. And it may not be complete changes, there'll be subtle changes, but you're going to need a lot of updating and a lot of career changes. And if that doesn't put stress on you on top of already what you're going through, which is, I have no idea what I'm going to do, then that's why you're in this class, okay? Because we're going to try to change that. So I've been teaching this course now for 5 years, and I've had hundreds of students now through the course. And this is why we're going down this path, because I've been able to take all this, study it, and now come out with a course that I think is going to be relevant for everybody going forward in this new area. So let's move forward. Not find it easy to make change in your life, about 80%, and 20% are yes, okay, including myself. So that was in there. So it skews the results a little bit, but that's just about normal. And I thank you for being honest on this. So I'm going to press done. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go and talk about, I'll just bring this up. Everybody can see that now, I believe. Okay, is Elon Musk. And I don't know why I don't have a full screen here. Okay, there we go. So this is from the book, How the Billionaire CEO, which is Larry Page. He's the CEO of Alphabet. Talks about Elon Musk. Okay, and I have my daughter calling me, so I'll just put that on quiet. And as a model, he wishes or would emulate a figure that should be replicated during a time in which the businessmen, politicians have fixated on short, inconsequential goals. Okay, so that means when you say business and politicians, that means school as well, because politicians are the masters of deciding where schools should be. So in here it says, I don't think we're doing a good job as society deciding what things are really important to do. I think like we're just not educating people in this kind of general way. You should have a pretty broad engineering and scientific background. Now, don't get scared because I'm going to show you how you can be involved in scientific background without having an engineering or a physics degree. Okay, there's lots of other jobs. I want people to understand this, that go into areas that are scientific, that you do not have to be a scientific mind to be part of and to make a lot of money and be quite successful. Okay, so I want that to be off the table right now because most people come to me and they say, look, we're scared because we're not math oriented. I can tell you, you're going to do just fine without that in math oriented types of careers. Okay, you should have some leadership training and a bit of MBA training or knowledge of how to run things, organize stuff, and raise money. Now, most of you here that are not in my course are not going to know what organize stuff, run things, or raise money mean. It means how to run a business. Okay. And you're going to say, well, you're never going to run a business. Well, I can assure you that you're going to be surprised that 90%, 95% of all the people that are employed in Canada and in the United States are part of small and medium businesses. You look around and you see the Googles and the Facebooks and the Twitters who are firing all kinds of people right now, and the banks, but a majority of the revenue and employment comes from small to medium businesses of people of 500 or less. Okay, so you will be part of businesses. You may run it, but you may also be working for a business. And if you don't know how to actually start a business and run a business and be part of it, you're going to find that you're not going to get ahead. So we're going to touch on a little bit today or over the 4 hours of courses of how to raise money in that, but that's not going to be the main crux of our course. Those are in my courses that I teach on how to build a company, which a lot of people don't take because they don't understand that a company is part of your education and actually how you're going to be in your career. But we'll talk about that. I don't think most people are doing that. It's a big problem. Engineers usually are trained in a very fixed area. When you're able to think about all these disciplines together, you kind of think differently and can dream much crazier things and how they might work. I think that's really important thing for the world. That's how we make progress. So again, why are we doing idea generation in a career modeling class? Because what you're going to find from career or from tree or idea generation here is where the careers are going to be. Okay, and then you can decide whether you want to choose those paths or not, but at least you're going to have gone down those paths. So I'm going to move to the next slide. And top-down approach. Top-down approach, and forget about the investment side of it. Does anybody know what top-down approach is? Can anybody give me on a chat what a top-down approach is? What's a top-down approach? And you can read it there. You're going to learn some terms, and these are terms that we really use in real world, in economics classes, MBA school, and around. So don't get too over the top that there's too many terms and you're going to get bogged down with this. You will know what these mean, and they're pretty simple, but they're going to help you speak at the same level as everybody else and help you move forward. So does anybody know what a top-down approach is? It's just like it sounds, everybody. Okay. So if I don't get a lot of chat, it's okay because I know everybody's a little scared and they don't want to speak out too much. For the people that have been in my course, they know it well. For the people that are not, then this is a learning experience for you. And start broad and then start focusing. Thank you, Tony. That's a great answer. Looking at the bigger picture, Linda. Thank you. See? Great. And don't worry about putting an answer down. Investing. Yes. Well, investing as well. Looking at the big, so the way I like to look at it is you're way up in the plane, okay, and you're looking down at something, a bird's eye view, Ricky, 100%, okay? You're looking down at the overall picture, Cheryl, 100%. And that overall picture, when I mean a broad view, I mean a really broad view, okay? So again, everybody's going to keep asking this question, and I'll say it a couple times, and then I hope you guys will understand where we're going. All of this is important to your career. Everything that we're going to talk about over the next 4 hours and 4 days or 4 weeks is important to your career. When I talk about top-down approach, it means, why am I looking at a bird's eye view? And when I mean a bird's eye view, I'm going to give you an example. Bird's eye view. Let's think about the environment. Okay, so it's a pretty easy one. Nothing sectional, nothing specific, just the overall environment. It's not going well, is it? We hear about all these things, carbon and overheating and all these terrible plastics, the whole bit. It's a really big issue, environment. That's the top-down approach, taking everything into consideration. Yes, Charles, the whole look, okay? So Elon Musk would have started with the same mindset when he started electric cars. He looked at the environment as a top-down, okay? He didn't think about electric cars, okay? He thought about something else, actually. And I'd like to bring that up because we're going to keep using real-life scenarios so you guys can get it. When he looked at the environment, do you know the very first thing he thought about? Does anybody know? Was it the electric car? How did he come up with Tesla? The very first thing, battery efficiency, Ricky. No, it wasn't money, Cheryl, but you know what? It involved money, Cheryl, and that's why I want you guys to write things. Battery efficiency. How do I make, okay, the battery more efficient and less costly? Okay, so it was very much about that. Okay, and the second thing he came up with was, does anybody know? You guys are good. I love this. It was all about the environment as a whole, absolutely, but it was battery efficient and one other thing. No, those are all great answers. Solar City came later. You guys are money, cost, Ethan, all good stuff. Yep. You know what it was? I'll type it in here so you guys can see. AI, artificial intelligence. And you're going to say, well, how does AI and batteries end up with a car? And it did because he started putting what I'm going to show you in the idea generation tree, all of it together. And then he said, I'm going to follow the money like Cheryl just said, okay? Follow the money. And this is going to be good for the environment. And it's also going to be something that is productive and makes money. Because remember, when anybody ever invests in something, okay? Yeah, he didn't have that much money, but he raised money. So he actually had money from PayPal, but he raised money on top of this because this is a big capital expenditure, right? So when you guys ask these questions, you're going to be talking. I started this business in 1986 in the capital corporate finance business. Okay, so I've been doing this for a long time. So there may be questions I can't answer, and if I can't, ask them anyways, and I will get other people to answer them for you that I know can answer those questions. So never hold back on a question. Okay, so he needed to raise money. Oh boy, that means running a company. So, but he had a good idea. So he put it through all the steps and he was able to raise the capital. Oh, that's what we talked about back on this slide, raising capital. Okay, that didn't seem like an important thing, but as you got a new idea, it's a great way you've got to go and learn how to raise capital. So there's the top-down approach. The bottom-up approach was, then he focused heavily into how to design the battery, how to design the car, how to design everything that goes into it. The bottom-up approach is when you get granular like the sand. So I want to explain it to everybody very simple. I'm looking down over the beach, and I see the beach, and there's a lot of things on that beach. When I go down into the beach, it gets very granular into the very kernels of the sand, okay? So that's the bottom-up approach, and we're going to not get heavily into the bottom-up approach in this 4-hour period, but we are going to make you understand what it means and why it means something to your career, okay? Because the bottom-up approach is what area of your career you're going to go into. The top-down approach is going to say, I like to be in the environment because there's 30 different things that we can look at, and there's 30 different areas of interest. And out of those interests of area, I'm going to model all those routes. And there's going to be some areas in that modeling that I'm going to enjoy. So, and that is where you start to look at your career, and then you put the education with it, and everything comes together, and you feel a lot more comfortable about what you want to do. But this takes work, okay? This is not something where you can just sit down and say, okay, I've looked at something, great. This takes work. So here, principles in layman's term. And I don't want you guys to get too uptight about first principles or analytics and things like that, because these are things that Elon Musk has talked about, and you can go read them. But first principles is thinking basically and actively questioning every assumption that you know about a given problem or scenario. So we're going to cover that today in what I call hunger in Africa. And you're going to say, well, why is that about my career? And you're going to see why. Then creating a new knowledge and solutions from scratch, almost like a newborn. But on the flip side, reasoning by analogy is building knowledge and solving problems based on prior assumptions, beliefs, and widely held best practices approved by a majority of the people. Well, that's not what we want to do. Okay, we want to find all the areas that are going to be interesting going forward that you can model your career off of. Okay, so people who reason by analogy, tend to make bad decisions, even if they're smart. No matter how smart you are, if you follow this type of route, okay, where you're always building in knowledge and solving problems based on prior assumptions, you're probably not going to be able to see the future, which means you're going to miss lots of opportunities of careers. Okay, and where things are going, you might find yourself unemployed, like 11,000 people are right now at Facebook, and so on and so on. Okay, so here we go. There's a book called Angel, and we never have enough time in these classes to get through all this stuff. So we need to make it as exciting or as interesting as possible. I'm going to click on Angel. Okay, and if you guys have read that, you can see that on your screen, I believe. Okay, but I'm going to make it bigger on my screen, and I'm going to now go out. Okay, and I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to change, okay, to share screen. Now everybody can see the book, right? I believe everybody can see that. I think everybody can see that. Okay, is that correct? Yes, great. Okay, so again, we're going to go just a couple minutes after 5 o'clock because we started about 4:05. And again, I'm here to teach you guys, where we're going and make sure you guys are interested. So there's going to be some terminology in here you're not going to like, okay? But this is reality. So this gentleman is a good friend of Elon Musk as well. He's an investor in Twitter. So what anybody wants to say about Twitter going down right now, it's not going to probably be the case. And he was the original investor in Uber when Uber sat down with 27 people one day in San Francisco, and only 3 made an investment in Uber. He was one of them. Okay, the other 24 people missed out. So he says our grandparents and parents have all worked in white-collar jobs, factories, and those jobs have lasted for 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, and you never had to worry about it that much. Okay, but the problem now is that robots, and this is what's coming, never sleep and self-improve on an exponential curve, are taking jobs. Meanwhile, humans, with our nagging physiological and emotional needs, struggle to keep up. I think we all know what that means. I'm stressed. I can't do this anymore. Well, the robot never has that issue, and they keep going. So most of us are, I'll say the word, you can see it, okay, not going to have jobs. But you're here and clearly willing to learn, and I radically improve your odds to do work. Now, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but I want people to understand where I'm going with this. I want you to see how fast things are changing. And in the next 10 years, in the next 10 decades, it's going to be absolutely incredible in the next 10 years compared to the last 10 decades. Okay? So the changes we've seen with the internet, mobile phones, robotics, sensories, biology are mind-blowing, not just to civilians, but for people working in these fields. The pace is increasing. He could give you a mind-blowing list of breakthroughs, like computers beating humans at chess, encyclopedias, no paid writers, computers flying airplanes, cars steering wheels or wars being won by robots. By the way, this book was written 4 years ago, and now today the war in Ukraine is being fought all by almost drones, right? So, and that's only going to get harder. And it says here, commonplace science fiction is having a hard time remaining, well, fiction. Okay? So we used to be able to think of science fiction and then it didn't come true for 40 or 50 years. Now you say a science fiction idea and it comes true the next year. Okay? And that tells you about where your career is changing as well. So I know the top tier investors who've invested in lots of big things. Okay? But I just want you to see this. He invested $750,000 in a company called CafeX. It eliminates two of the most expensive aspects of Starbucks business, real estate and humans. Okay, so what does he mean by real estate? It means that a CafeX now can sit in a cafeteria or a building or, as we know, an airport, and it'll mix your coffee exactly the way you wanted it based on how you had set it up on your phone. Not only that, it'll mix it while you're walking to the CafeX machine and eliminates that store. It eliminates the humans that actually work at that store and it gets it perfect every time. Okay, that is already being rolled out in airports. It's failed in a couple of places in buildings, but it's being rolled out in airports. And it also reduces your latte to $2 instead of $4 right now. So now you say, well, what is this important to me as a job? Well, it means that all those jobs are going away. Okay. And those are jobs that a lot of people work at it early on in their life while they're trying to earn income to go to school and all kinds of stuff. And it eliminates people that own a lot of property. Because if you're not making money off your property, you're going to be selling that property for a lot less than you did before, right? So you lose on real estate as well, which is a very big thing. And robots work 24 hours a day and they serve you whenever you want. It's going to eliminate millions of jobs. So if you think I'm horrible now, free market monster, well, you're only half right. The quicker we eliminate all these jobs, the quicker our species, humans, can get onto bigger issues. Okay? So when we eliminate these jobs, what will happen is a lot of people will be unemployed. Is that good for us? Is that good for society if a lot of people are unemployed? What do you think? No, not at all, Tony. Okay? It creates a lot of anarchy. It causes a lot of problems with changes. And we get societies to break down like they did just recently in Greece and Egypt and many other areas. Okay? So you can see it in China even right now with the COVID approach where a lot of people are not suddenly working and they're getting very angry, even in an environment where they are fairly well set up in the community, they're getting angry. So this happens whenever a great deal of people are unemployed. So how do we get out of this matrix? Because the job apocalypse is coming, okay? And job apocalypse, I say, is coming. That means that even people that were in jobs or looking to be a career lawyer, doctor, teacher, accountant, pilot, journalist, or wait, even engineer are going to lose their jobs. And you're going to say, how's a doctor going to lose a job? In next class, I will show you a company called Titan Medical, okay? And you can go look it up, that is now performing a lot of surgeries. It's coming up by 2025 with one doctor that can do surgeries thousands of miles away with one robot doing the surgery. Okay? So we don't need as many doctors, and the robots are going to get better and better at this. You're going to say, that's impossible. Go look up Titan Medical and you will see what I'm talking about. Yet, well, the greatest opportunity on the planet is probably a software engineer. He just invested right now, 4 years ago, in a new software that lets you type in an app, X, Y, and Z, before spitting out your own version of Uber, insert service that sucks right now. So you could say, this service sucks, how do I make it better? And the software will engineer the code for that. And that's something? So if you haven't had a panic attack yet by reading this introduction, let me tell you, the next product I'm looking for is an artificially intelligent robot that studies humans and builds other robots. He hasn't found it yet, but by the end of this book, he probably will. Okay? So what I want to say is this, a perfect storm is coming, and we need to know how to switch jobs a lot quicker than we've ever done in our life before. And that's a certain mindset. And that's why I asked everybody, okay, if you can handle change. And if you can't, then we got to start working on that, okay? Because that's extremely important. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and come back to the PowerPoint. And you'll notice that we are good technical people. Okay, and I'm going to skip now to, we've talked about the intro. We're going to talk about the idea generation tree now and the building of the foundation. So, and we're going to cover something here in the idea generation tree coming up next. So does anybody know what the definition of intractable is? What does intractable mean? Anybody know? Nobody knows? And it's a big word, so don't worry about it. It's not something that you have to say, oh my goodness, I don't know that word. I must be behind time. Hard to control. Not traceable. Great answers. Even Miss Shelley's in there. No, it's actually what it means is that people won't take on a problem that's too big to solve. And one of those problems right now is the environment, plastics recycling, starvation, hunger, all these things are education. There's so big problems that you don't take it on. The same applies to you right now sitting at home. You've got career decisions and education decisions to make. You don't take these problems on because they're almost too unimaginable to deal with. Okay, so we're going to try to break that intractable down. Okay, where you don't sit there in fear of taking on a problem. We break the problem down and we see all the different areas to go in. So the next poll, if Miss Shelley can run that, okay, is a poll, and I'll just do it, on are you comfortable walking in the kitchen? So the simple answer is yes or no. And then I'll get into it. And remember, all these things are important. You think, well, that's not a great answer or question. So your response so far is 100%. Yes. Excellent. And we got about 33 responses. We got 60 people. If we can get up to 40 or 50, that would really give us the numbers. So I'd love to see what the responsible if you are, and it's very important to answer this, okay? It's not, none of these thoughts that are in this course are here just for fun. They're actually real reasons why, and I want you to start thinking this way. So we're at 38, let's get to 40 out of 60 people. Yeah, and there might be people that can't tap on, but we had a lot of responses last time. There we go, we're at 40. So the response answer is yes. So I'm going to give you guys a modeling career. Why am I talking about modeling? If you're comfortable walking the kitchen, that means that you've modeled that kitchen. What do I mean by that? It means that you've gone to the kitchen hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. So your answer, 95% people saying they're comfortable, is because you've modeled that kitchen thousands of times. You know it inside and out. And you should. You live there. So let me give you an example. Let's say you woke up one night in the middle of the night and you're sleepwalking and it's pitch dark. Okay? And you have no idea where you've just slept walk in your house. But you reach out and you touch the fridge. Where are you? Anybody know? I only need one or two chats to answer. Where are you? If you reach out, you're in your kitchen. That's right, Jimmy. So when you reach out and touch the fridge and you know you're in the kitchen, right? You now do what? What would you do? Where would you know something to help lighten everything up again? What would you be looking for? Andrew? Arthur? What do you look for? The light switch. And exactly, Ellen, the light switch. And you know exactly where it is because you've modeled that kitchen. So now you turn the light on and everything becomes clear, right? You see the kitchen. Well, this is the same thing with careers, everybody, and education. So this is where I'm making it interesting for you, because this is making you start to think now. I can see my kitchen now because I modeled it. I turned the light on again, even in the dark, I turned the light on because I knew it was, I modeled it. So our job here at I Made It in Focused Learning is to model all the types of careers that are out there. And why would we want to do that? We want to do that so that you can go down all these paths and feel comfortable whether that's the right place to be or not. And that's what the schools are not doing. They teach the math, all the things that are important, but they don't show you all the types of careers that are out there that might result of certain areas that you don't know about until it's too late. Okay? And you may have found that, hey, I like chemistry, so I'm going to become a scientist. But you might not have known that a metallurgist who works on taking silver and nickel out of the rock to make iPhones is paid $400,000 or $500,000 US a year, and they're in short supply, and that's chemistry. That's a career. And we're going to talk about all those types of things. We can't get through all of it in 4 hours, obviously, but we're going to talk about a lot of it over the next 4 hours, 4 days. And this is going to enlighten you, and you're going to be part of a group where you're going to be in this constantly going forward. And this is going to help alleviate, because once you model those types of careers, you can then see all the education that applies, and you can say, wow, I love that career, but that's not my style of education. I can't do that. Okay, what else can I do? So it's going to alleviate a lot of this. Oh my goodness, I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so that was a great response, guys. So let's get into the tree. Okay, and you're going to say African hunger efficient farming idea. Now, some of my students that are in the class, we're actually doing this right now, and they did this. I had nothing to do with this, but this is the path they went down on one of the contests that we're involved in. Okay, I'm going to say, how does African hunger and efficient farming and an idea generation mean anything to me about career? So I'm going to log out of here now. Okay, and I'm going to switch to the screen, and I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint. And this is the tree. So we're going to do this today. We only have 50, or we have 20 minutes. Okay, I know you guys have got time schedules, and we're just not going to be able to get through everything, but I want you guys to know how interesting this is and where it's going. So we're in African hunger efficient farming right now, and what we've got is, I'm going to give you a top-down look at something right now. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that top-down is. Okay, we're going to look at starvation in Africa, the truth about hunger in Africa. And this has been going on, as the World Bank will say, for 40, 50 years, about Africa and how they are constantly hungry. In fact, you can see here that 153 million people, 26% of the population, faces severe food insecurity in Africa. 153 million people. That is 4 times the population of Canada. In just Africa, face severe food insecurity. Okay? And the list goes on and on. And this is not something that's been going on for a little while. This has been going on for a long time. So why has it been going on that long? And how do we solve that problem? And why does that matter to me? I'm here to talk about my career. So we're going to quickly go through this because we don't have time to do the huge amount, but this idea generation tree, okay? Does anybody notice? Do you know who uses this idea generation tree? Who do you think uses this idea generation tree? Name a person out there. The exact same tree, by the way. Who do you think it is? I use it all the time, Ricky. You know that. But who else? Elon Musk, Arthur. Exactly. And what's interesting about this tree I want to show is, see all the leaves? Okay. This is your trigonometry, calculus, and all these other things up here. And this is your algebra. So if this tree foundation is not thick enough, this up here will bring this tree down. It'll break it. Okay? So the same applies with our careers. If we don't understand how to create an idea generation map of what type of career and all the education that's going to go into it, then when we look at our careers out here, they're going to fall off the map. You say, well, African hunger, how is that part of my career? Well, let's just take a look at that. African hunger. Okay? And I'm going to show you something here. In Africa right now, the problems right now are lack of financial support. Oh, that's raising capital. Lack of information. Lack of good transportation. Okay? I'm going to show you more. All kinds of problems are going on. Decline in farm size, water scarcity, climate change, access to finance, cross-sector collaboration, infrastructure. Everybody's stealing money. Skills are bad. People aren't educated, and lots of policy problems and red tape, bureaucracy. So how do we fix that? So we come back, and this is a top-down approach, right? We know the issues. So how do we fix it? Now, we don't have time now for the class to do this today, but I'm just going to show you right now. We could type in here, and some of the ideas that came out were, well, we could have better farming software, okay, to make farming more efficient so that we could feed people, right? You see what I can say? I can put down, we could, and over here, idea number 2, I can put down education, and then I can put down a lot of ways that we can educate people. Okay, need to educate students. We need to do a lot of other things. Farmers, over here, I could put down finance, okay, which we just saw. And we could name a lot of things that are in the finance business. How do we raise capital to help farmers grow crops to stop starvation, right? So now I haven't asked anybody to do any of this right now because, again, we're going to get into this tree over the next second and third and fourth class. I'm giving you a quick synopsis so you guys can walk away going, this is what's going on. Yeah, I'm going to get a little bit more coffee here. But we need to build this foundation, okay, of all the ideas to come up with something. So here's where we go with this. And this is the quick version today. This is the idea iteration. Maybe you guys have other things. We're going to post this so you guys can put this on here. But here's your tree. Here's a whole bunch of ideas. I'm sure you've got a lot of other ideas as well on how to solve what's going on in Africa with starvation. But again, why does it matter to you? Well, here's the thing. Why do you think a lot of people can't get educated in Africa? What do you think, everybody? What do you think, people? What's one of the reasons? No school. 100%, Tony. Yes. Lack of money. Not many schools. Exactly. Those go hand in hand, right? If you don't have money, you can't build a school. And if you can build a school, infrastructure, you can't afford the, yeah, Baron, you can't afford the education. Okay? You can't afford the teacher. You can't afford the books. Not enough resources. 100%. So if you're not educating the younger generation of people on how to farm, how to be a better administration person, how to be a better teacher, then how do you think the older generations are going to be able to get these systems in place? And that's why we've gone 40 to 50 to 60 years where Africa is constantly being in a hunger issue. Okay, so we go back to that word, intractable. It's too big of an issue to handle. So we don't take it on at all. Well, that's the same as your career. So quickly now, I'm going to show you something. So we come along here and we say, well, if we could make it more efficient to educate people, what would that take? Well, that would take a laptop, right? Correct? And it would take a teacher in a school. But what happens if a company like Google comes along, okay? And look at this, guys. They now offer all kinds of education online. And not only do they offer education online, but they show you the jobs. They show you how many jobs are available, 479,000 currently in this project. Oh, we're going to get to that, Tony. That's a great question. See, that's what I want to see you guys asking. That's the generation tree. If we come back to the generation tree, okay, we could put down here generation tree. How do they get the internet? Well, let's put that down here. How do they get internet? Well, they need a Wi-Fi. They need a Wi-Fi system. Exactly. That's one of the things Elon Musk is making, right, with SpaceX. Okay? But not only that, they need a laptop. So these are things that aren't that hard to get. You can get a laptop. Be nice to have a battery that lasted a year, but you don't. What's the biggest problem with having a computer or laptop and a Wi-Fi? What do you need? These are all things you can buy fairly cheaply, right? You need electricity, Lucy, and money, but Tony says electricity. I need electricity. Well, okay, let me ask you this. If I need electricity, just type in correctly, I can get you a laptop fairly cheap. I can buy you a router fairly cheap, and I can now access satellite, SpaceX, fairly cheap. But how do I get electricity? That is a massive problem, isn't it? So we could put down here, we got a problem with electricity. By the way, you guys are already on this. And for the people that aren't getting this, please don't get worried. Okay? I'm here to keep this build big electricity network. Yes, Tony, but that's going to take a lot of money, right? And we already know that most people don't want to invest, as you just saw here, right? Right here. A lack of finance. Most people don't want to invest because they're worried about Africa. Governments take the money, budget, all these bad things. So what would be a way to get electricity? Does anybody want to throw me out something that we could add to the idea generation tree? What can we add to the idea generation tree that could get us electricity without building big plants, without building solar? Go for charge device, solar panels, all these things you guys got. Look at this, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to type in solar here for a second, and then I'm going to bring this all home. Okay, solar, and it doesn't have to be solar panels. And again, everybody, keep windmills. They're a little bit more expensive than solar panels, Tony and Alan, but good point. So, and I keep rehashing so you guys, because I repeat myself a lot, so you guys don't get lost. Why are we doing this? We're doing this to find your career. What does solar panels in Africa do for your career? Well, let me show you guys. Okay, solar panels. Over the next certain period of time, Africa needs $2 trillion of investment in reliable, affordable power infrastructure. $2 trillion. What did I say at the very beginning of the lecture? Follow the money. Now, you may not like solar power. You say, wow, that's great, but I'm not a scientist. Again, $190 billion of investment just in the next 4 years on clean energy solar. Okay. Well, everybody here says, well, I'm a math guy, but I'm not. What does this matter to me? Top 5 STEM-related careers in solar energy. Oh, here they are. Field service technician. Africa's goal is like trillions. Yeah, GDP is like 3 trillion. Yeah, but it's going to grow, Tony. Solar site assessor, solar installer. Okay, these are all careers. Here's even more interesting. The solar career map. By the way, guys, did you notice that this says solar expertise, a specialist? Yes, some of them are engineering jobs, technician jobs, IT specialist. You can learn that. Manufacturing, you can be the owner of the manufacturing plant. You don't need to be the environmental engineer. You can hire those people if you know how to go to raise money to build your own company because you know where the money's going to be. If you know there's going to be $1 trillion spent, you can go build or get people together and hire all these people. Do you think that Elon Musk knows how to build a spaceship? You think he knows how to build SpaceX spaceships? No. He went and hired the people to do that. He had an idea and he brought the people in. So project development. Look at this, guys. Solar representative. sales specialist, marketing specialist. If you love marketing, right? You don't have to be a genius engineer. You can be a genius marketing specialist. There's thousands of jobs that you can take. Look at this. Here's the job pay, $29 an hour. That's the medium pay. If you're good, you're going to be making even more than that. That's US. Okay? These are all the jobs and the education needed to get it. So what I'm going to show you over the next 4 or 3 lectures is how we lower that anxiety about where you might go for a career by getting access to all these sites. The information is just begging for you to take it, but you got to be able to knock it down into a tree and understand where you want to go. So we started with something here called the solar or the hunger in Africa. And quickly you guys went from that, and of course we can make a 3-hour course, to solar. And then from solar, we went into the careers and the amount of money that is going to be involved over the next couple of years even. It's massive. Okay, guys? Oh, if somebody just wants to mute. I'm doing most of the talking, guys. Sorry, I like to have more interaction. So do you understand where we're going with this? I'm taking that stress level and anxiety of, oh my goodness, I have no idea where to go. I'm giving you a fundamental way of doing this. And next week, we're going to do, by the way, closing plastics with Google, circulatory side. Miss Shelley, do you want to mute everybody? Thank you, Miss Shelley. And next week, we're going to do circulatory plastics and all the areas in circulatory plastic. I want to ask you guys a question because you're all smart. If Africa has access to education, right? Because they get electricity with solar panels and now they can start their laptop and now they can access. So 150 or there's 500 million people there. And suddenly they have an enormous amount of access to education like this. Okay? Is this good for you? Yes, and Elon Musk is from South Africa. Is this good for you or is this bad for you personally? What do you think? A poll. And I want you to be honest. Is having everybody in Africa suddenly, okay, Alan says it's good. Yep. Baron says bad. Tony says bad. More competition. Baron, it's already tough out there with everybody that's privileged. You are privileged, everybody. I'm going to tell you this now. There's 61 people in this call, and all of us are privileged. Why? Because we have access to information. We have access to reading and all the things that are important. They don't. If they get access, they're smart people. They just haven't had the education to get there. Okay? So I want you to think about this as the world expands. It's good for the human race, but it's bad for business. Well, it's bad, not for business in Africa. It's just bad if you don't know where to be, Ricky, in that business world, because it's going to get even more competitive. So I'm going to go back here for a second. Okay? And we've covered a lot today. Okay? And it's 1 hour. So it's so hard. But I want you guys to understand why you're going to be here for the next classes. And I'm going to bring back up the PowerPoint because I just want to finish so you guys understand how important this class is. I'm going to flip to, we've covered that, but we're going to cover that a lot. We're going to do a lot of other things. And by the way, you'll be shocked at the plastic circulatory thing next week, guys, because we'll go through the whole thing. Okay, here's the first steps of principle thinking. I would love, Miss Shelley will have this. I would love everybody to go read this. Okay, but Elon Musk, one of the big things is read more books, both fiction and nonfiction, listen to podcasts, ask thought-provoking questions, okay, journal the night before, take long walks. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to show you something. Here's some recommended subscriptions. Now, for everybody that takes our classes, we have access to all these subscriptions. Nike, Asia, Barron's, Wall Street Journal, Wired, Fast Company. But as I click on Wired, okay, and I'm going to go out of here for a second. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to bring Wired over. All these magazines, okay, provide you with potential new areas of where things are going. Okay, so you say, well, why did I read all this stuff? Because I need to know about Meta's oversight board. What are they going to? Because that's an area that I might be interested in. Or the Google Pack nonprofit proves games can teach to be fun now and make you a better person, give you better character. So there's a lot of stuff in these magazines, okay, that give you the ability to be able to think ahead about where things may be going. So people say, don't read business stuff. I'm telling you to read business stuff because that is where all the money is going, okay? And I'm going to come back here again and finish off by stop sharing. And then I'll share this. Okay, and I'll flip to the last page right here. So you'll see we are technologically savvy. And you'll see here we have career modeling. Okay, so what we've done today is we've gone really hard. Okay, so I don't know who this is, but I to anyway, so career modeling, Matt, if you can read that, what we've done today, see, bring it up, is, and I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger, is that we've started through the process of, it's hard for me to see that, so I'm going to bring up my my own one. Okay, we've gone through the understand the real business world. We haven't obviously gotten in depth on it, but we've started. Search for areas of interest. We started that with the idea generation tree. We've looked at various careers already. That career path modeling shows you that you can be involved in a very big area, solar paneling, and not necessarily have to be an engineer. There's hundreds of thousands of other jobs and top paying things that you can do. Okay. And real world connections. That's where we bring in CEO talks like Marshall and people like that that explain to you what's going on in the solar industry or the biotech industry, and you get to meet the CEOs of publicly traded companies. And then we check out areas of interest and we do a top-down and bottom-up approach again. And then we accumulate that experience. We accumulate that modeling of those careers. So when it comes to a career like this, okay, and I'll do this one more time. I'll go out and I'll share my screen and I'll bring this up. All these careers right here, you can now start to model and you can click on them and you can see, oh, look at this. An HVAC technician also attaches to these careers and a solar sales representative attaches to these careers, and you can see the job detail and you can start modeling this career. Oh boy, I would love to be this. The job is great, 75,000, that's a medium. And I can get this by doing, here's my skills, written communications, technical negotiating skills, all this kind of stuff. Mathematical is more like, hey, I got to be able to add contracts and stuff like this. This isn't being a mathematician. Okay. These are all jobs, and you can see the payouts, and you can start to look at this and say, boy, this is a non-ending type career. It's not a career like we start in Angel where it's going to go away in 3 or 4 years. Okay. These are careers that are going to be around for a long time. So it looks like we have somebody in here that probably shouldn't be. Anyway, so I want you guys to know this, and I'm hoping that this was a good start. What did you guys think? We covered a lot of stuff. Okay. And I apologize if I ran too fast, but that's why we taped this, so you can actually go back and look at it again. But did everybody find that interesting on why we've taken this path of tree generation, idea generation, and what's going on out there, and how this can apply to you, your careers, and your education? And we did this all in 1 hour, guys. If we have hours and hours and hours, we're going to make it a lot easier. It's going to flow a lot easier when we go down these idea generation trees and career paths and education paths. What do you guys think? Yes, let's run another poll. Okay, the poll here is, Let's do this poll so we get an answer. The poll was, do you consider yourself a patient person? Let's launch that one. Okay? And the reason for I want to know that is because you're going to have to run this generation tree a lot, everybody. And you're going to have to be patient when you work through them. Okay? If you're not patient, okay, then you're not going to probably do this over and over again. And I did say this is like math, it's like everything else, it's fundamental. You do need to slow down and start to do this type of stuff. And in the long run, it's going to save you a lot of time, because time value is really important for me, right? If I go down the wrong career and I waste 4 years of education, I've lost 4 years of my life. I not only lost 4 years of my life, what else did I lose in 4 years of education going the wrong way, finding out that job doesn't exist? What else did I lose, everybody? If I spend 4 years going down a route of education that doesn't exist, you lost money, right? So you lose your money. Tuition fees, you got it, Alan. Very, very expensive. So it's a combination thing. I'm going to do one more poll now, time and money. And the last poll is, do you consider, where do you get your business news and information from? And the reason why I'm saying that is just like Elon Musk says here, you need to be reading newspapers and magazines. You need to look at podcasts. You need to look at radio. If you don't, and you say, well, I don't need to read business stuff. Okay, well, you do, because that's where all the careers are going and that's where the money's going. So when you see the money, and that's why I showed you, okay, that $1 trillion is going into, yeah, this is great. Look at this, going into solar panels. It's huge. And I'll leave you with this before we leave for next week. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to bring up just my screen and bring this over. I'm going to show you another example. Closing the plastic cycle. Did you guys know that only 6% of all the trash that you recycle, 6% is going to be recycled? That's it. Not 50, not 40, 60%, guys. Okay? So what the problem is that they can't recycle all that plastic. It doesn't get recycled. So we need to do what Google is saying, is closing the plastic circulatory gap. And what that means is that it's going to take, and this is just over the next little while, okay? It's going to take, what is it here? I think I had a number in here, somewhere in here. Could amount to